First of all, I'll explain that, kind of tell you a little bit about my husband. He's like a lives life large and always had a motorcycle, dirt biking, and always, was going that extra mile and doing stuff, a very active guy. And it seemed like in 2021, he kind of hit a brick wall, with his knee. I mean, it was like he was having always, it was starting to hurt him. And on his job, he's always climbing and doing stuff. And it just kind of, it was bad. So 2021, we spent the most of that time we picked out a surgeon and we were just trying to see what was going on with his knee. And the surgeon had decided, I mean, after many times of doing the shots with the, what is it when you do the steroid shots? He would do the steroid shots and they would drain the knee. And it was like, oh my God, it was like, how much more pain can he take? He was like a big baby. But anyway, in October of 2021, the doctor just said, let's go in, let's just repair that torn meniscus and clean it up and let's see what happens. So he does that in October. So, he has October, November, December, and January off, and he goes back in January and the doctor releases him to go back to work. Well, he goes back to work and he's doing, a lot of work, and stressing out that knee. And so here we go back on that little wheel of going back to the doctor and seeing what we're going to do. So, long story short, by the time he had a couple of more visits, it was probably, towards the end of June. Let's see, he had had 3 or 4 visits, and that was more shots, more draining the fluids off. And the doctor had just said, well, let's just go ahead. And when I get back from my vacation, let's just go ahead and do surgery on your knee. And, and he goes, now I'm going to tell you, Mr. Wedge, this may not fix your knee completely. It may still hurt. So, if we do this, it's not 100% that it's going to repair your knee completely, because he had good bone on the side. It was just on the inside, where the kneecap was. And he did say during the process of him cleaning the meniscus and getting all the inflammation out, he could have created that little nick in there. So, me and Al are both going, oh my God. Okay. So we are sitting here looking at, okay, so you can have this surgery and you can either live with pain all your life. And it was a 50-50 chance, that's the way it was. So at that point in time, I just said, well, it's your knee, but I was the one that started digging around. And so after he told us in June that to go ahead and that he was going to go on vacation and for us to go and get another MRI and to plan on doing a knee surgery, well, that's when I started just digging around and trying to see what stem cell was all about. I knew nothing about stem cell, and I don't even know why I was led to do that. I just always heard it was the greatest thing, And so during this time, I had 2 friends that were like, oh my God, we're getting the stem cell shot, and so we're going to get him. You want to come up here? And I said, sure. So I went up there. They paid $14,000 for like, I think 3 shots. Well, it was so ironic because it was crazy because that same week, Andy had just reached out and sent me an invitation to a little life wave party in Visoria. And I went for a stem cell patch, an activation stem cell patch. And that same week, I just saw somebody get a shot. And then I'm fixing to go hear about a patch. And I was like going, oh, yes, I'm there. And so I was there and I was right there on the front row. And there was Miss Leah talking about it and giving me all the information on the energy patches and then each one of them. And anyway, it was incredible. And I looked at the sheet and I said, okay. I said, well, they go through the little programs or which one you want to get on. And I said, well, let's do the $299 because $299 was a heck of a lot cheaper than $14,000. And let's see what we're going to do with this. I signed up that night, piece of cake, and came home and was waiting for my package. And Leah had given me some ice wave to put on Al. So I got some ice wave and did my little package and couldn't wait for it to get in. But, I'm one of those type of people that, the technology she was explaining to me was something that wasn't out of my realm of thought, as far as I was very familiar with frequencies and all kinds of different modalities, because I was able to work with a very smart man who was a dentist, but he had a PhD in holistic. So therefore he did detoxing. And it was 3 decades I was able to learn a lot of stuff from him. So I just thought that this is crazy. You mean I've spent thousands on frequency machines, and there's a little patch you can stick on your body and it's going to do something. So I was like going, hey, I'm giving it a try. So we got our package in, and I immediately started researching everything I could. I got on Telegram, I got on every source that I could, because I wanted to be informed. Well, I wasn't the one that had the pain or felt bad, but the more I read about the focusing, if you were a little bit stressed, which I was off the chain stressed with my husband, because I had been driving him around, and I called him driving Mr. Daisy around for a year. And so I just started learning how to patch. So, okay, long story short, so I get into it in June. We go to see the doctor at the end of June, and he's telling us, okay, get ready for this surgery. When I get back from vacation, we're going to do this. So we're starting to patch. I didn't tell him what we were doing. So he tells us to get another MRI and all this stuff. So that gives us a little more time, because we weren't able to get in to see him until September. So we've been patching 3 months. So 3 months of me studying and doing the glutathione, the Eon, the ice wave, the X. I just did them all. I just went in for it all. And we went to go see him, and it was in September, and we had a new MRI. And he said, well, Mr. Wetch, how are you feeling? And Al goes, well, God, my leg is still a little tender, and his foot was still a little swollen. But he showed us the MRI from his first one, which was a year ago, to his recent one. And he said, I've never seen this. You see this on younger people, but for some, it looks like your knee is trying to kind of repair itself right there. And I was so excited. I wanted to pull my mask off and tell him about the stem cell patches at that point in time. And my husband was giving me those big eyes like, you better hush. So I get out to the car and I go, oh my gosh. Well, he asked us, he goes, what do you need from me? Because my husband was going, I got to go back to work. I can't, if it's in the healing process, I can't go back to work and put more stress on it. So he gave him another 6 months off. So during that time, it was kind of scary, because he wasn't making the money he was making, but he was healing his knee. And that was the most important thing. And then I went from one package to another, because girl, I was sticking those patches on me for my little ADD brain, and just for my stress and everything else. I was just loving every one of them. And I was dreaming again, and there was just amazing results we were getting with the patches. So we go back, and after 6 months, he gives my husband the approval to go back to work. But we had 6 months to be able to totally get all of the information, all of everything that was going on with his leg. And he had lost about 30 pounds, may I mind you, okay, during this process.
So tell us about this.
Okay, so 2021 is when he was going through all of his stuff. And he hates this picture. He goes, I was not fat. And I go, no, you were bloated,
Full of inflammation.
Yeah, he was full of inflammation. And then the picture, of course, I think it was supposed to be 2022, but 4 months later, I mean, I'd had him losing a little weight, but he was totally down 4 to 5 months after, about 30 pounds.
You can tell he looks like he's free of pain.
Yes, he is looking like my Al is again. He's normal, and so and that's the man I married, and that's what I wanted to get him back to. But if it hadn't been for him breaking down, I don't know if I'd ever researched stem cells or anything. But I thank him every day that we have come across this technology. And anyway, his doctor gave him the approval to go back to work, and said that it looks like everything is improving. He is doing some kind of stem cell patch and his overall appearance is good and he can go back to work. So he's working, and he's on his leg and there is no swelling, but girl, we keep those patches on him.